Maybe it was today, maybe it was tonight. The Baal Shem Tov said to his Hasidim, harness the horses. We're going somewhere. They travel and they travel. The Baal Shem Tov doesn't travel by subway, not by airplane, a different kind of traveling. Finally, they come to a forest. They get off the beaten path. They travel on. Suddenly, the horses stop at a clearing in the forest. There, in the middle of the field, there was a grave. The Baal Shem Tov said to his Hasidim, his disciples, sit down. He asked them for a little wine and for a little cake. And he said, L'chaim. Everybody made a circle, kind of like we are here tonight. And the Baal Shem Tov began telling them the story. A few hundred years ago, somewhere in Russia, there were two families. Both were very good families, wealthy families, noble families. One had a son, one had a daughter. The son was so special. The little boy had the soul to be the biggest tzaddik in the world. Sadly enough, the girl, her soul wasn't so big. All she wanted was to make money, to be richer. But in those days, they married them off. They had so much money, they didn't need to have a business. But she said, I'd really like to make some money. So her parents opened a store for her. He never entered the store. He was learning day and night. One day his wife says to him, I really wish that you'd come with me for just 1 hour to the store to help me run the business. He said to her, we have so much money, we don't need the business. You have the store so that you have something to do, and that's fine, but I don't want to waste my time on it. But she was begging him and begging him. And to make it short, first week, he came for 1 hour. Then it was 1 hour and 15 minutes. Then 2 hours. Then 3 hours. And slowly, he gave up learning, became a businessman. One day his wife says to him, it's such a shame. We get all our merchandise from St. Petersburg, and we have to pay the middleman so much. If you would go yourself to St. Petersburg, we'd save all that money. But that was the time of Ivan the Terrible, when for a Jew to be in St. Petersburg was a death penalty. So he says to her, I can't go, I'm a Jew. She says to him, do you always have to look like a Jew? For a few days, don't look like a Jew. So he tucks in his tzitzis, cuts off his beard and his payas, and he goes to St. Petersburg. And when he arrives, he calls on this rich man, this wealthy merchant, from whom they get all their merchandise. And the man is so happy, his biggest customer has come. And he says to him, tonight, we're throwing a little dinner dance in your honor. This rich man had a beautiful daughter. So after the dinner, the rich man comes over to our friend, and he says to him, my daughter likes you. She wants so much to dance with you. How could he say no? So they're dancing, and suddenly the young woman runs out of the room, and her father's running after her. He says, how could you put our Jew. L'chaim! Ah, he's a Jew. He calls him into his office. He's holding a pistol. He says, listen, you might be my biggest customer, but a Jew is a Jew. If you convert right now, I'll let you live. If you don't convert, I'll shoot you right here. Well, by now, he's so much of a businessman that he thinks, what does God have to gain if I should be dead? And the truth is, he's right. From a business perspective, he's right. So he converts. And the man says to him, now that you're not Jewish anymore, you're a newborn person, why don't you marry my daughter? She loves you. Why not? So he and his wife lived together for 10 years, and he's really very happy. He makes a lot of money, and they have 2 children, and not even once in 10 years does he remember that he's a Jew. Wiped out his whole past. One day, he looks at the calendar, and he sees it's Yom Kippur. Suddenly, he remembers where he was before. When he was young, when he was little, he wanted to be the holiest Jew in the world. He was completely dedicated to God, to the Torah, to Yiddishkeit, to holiness. He began crying, crying, crying. He couldn't find a place in the world for himself. And he realized there's only one person who can console him, the drunkard. His father-in-law had hundreds of miles of forest, and the person who was guarding the forest was a drunkard, and he was always happy. He said to himself, I'm jumping on my horse, I'm riding out to the forest, to the drunkard, and he'll console me. Open your hearts. He rides out to the drunkard, and there the drunkard is lying on the ground crying. He says to him, drunkard, why are you crying? The drunkard says, swear, why are you crying? I asked you first. The drunkard says, swear to me you'll never tell another person what I'm telling you right now. I swear. I want you to know that I am a Jew. I want you to know that I am a Jew. Today's Yom Kippur, and on Yom Kippur every Jew stands before God. And Gevalt, Gevalt, how do I stand before the one, before the only one? I can't stop crying. Why are you crying? Swear to me you'll never tell, I swear. I want you to know that I am also a Jew. I want you to know that I am also a Jew. Today is Yom Kippur, and on Yom Kippur every Jew stands before God. And how do I stand before him? So the holy drunkard says to him, if God sent you to me on Yom Kippur, that means that I am the one to tell you what to do, to fix your soul. Listen to me. I want you to go home. You left your first wife without telling her anything. You can do it again. Go back to your city where you belong. Take all your money and go back to your wife. But only one condition. Never set foot in that store. Sit and learn day and night, and only on Shabbos, go home. And I bless you to fix your life. L'chaim! hearts even deeper. Exactly a year later, his wife in St. Petersburg looks at the calendar and she sees it's exactly 1 year that my husband left me. I haven't heard from him. My children are crying for their father. She's crying so much, she can't bear it. She says, I'm going out to the Drunkard, and he'll console me. She rides out to the Drunkard, and there the Drunkard is lying on the ground crying. She says to him, Drunkard, I wanted you to console me, and you're crying. Why are you crying? Swear to me you'll never tell. I swear. I want you to know that I'm a Jew. Today is Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, and today every Jew stands before God. And Gevalt, how do I stand before him? Why are you crying? She says to him, exactly 1 year ago, my husband left. I love him so much. I love him so much. He left me and the children. How could I ever stop crying? How could I ever stop crying? The holy drunkard says to her, if God sent you to me on Yom Kippur, that means that I'm the one to fix your soul. Let me tell you where your husband is. He tells her exactly the name of the city. Go there, check into a hotel, and meet your husband. And God should guide your step. She doesn't tell her father. She packs up all her belongings, takes her children, and she goes to the village. And when she arrives, she checks into an inn, and she says to the innkeeper, please, can you get me an appointment with the rich Jew of Ramallah? He says to her, that's impossible. He lives like a hermit. All week he studies in the synagogue, and he only goes home on Shabbos. She says to him, please, you have to help me. This is a matter of life and death. He says to her, well, maybe there's one way. Every Friday afternoon, before Shabbos, he goes to the mikveh, the ritual bath. I'll tell you where it is. Wait for him outside. Picture it, friends. He thinks that he's already reached, once again, such a high level of holiness. He's coming out of the mikveh after immersing himself. And there he sees his wife from St. Petersburg with the 2 children. The past goes with you. She says to him, I have to talk to you. He says to her, please, I'm crying, I'm begging before you, please, you and the children, don't say a word. I live in that mansion. Be my guests for Shabbos. I promise you, after Shabbos, we'll go to the rabbi, and he'll tell us what to do. After Shabbos, he takes his 2 wives to the rabbi. The rabbi is a great Kabbalist, a wise and knowing person. He says to him, Holy Rabbi, let me tell you my whole life story. When I was young, I wanted to be so good. I wanted to be so holy. I got married, and it wasn't her fault, but my wife dragged me down. Suddenly I was a businessman. Because of her, I went to St. Petersburg, and I had no problems converting to another religion. It didn't bother Jew again. Holy Rabbi, I'm begging you, please, in God's name, tell me, who is my real soulmate? L'chaim!
L'chaim.
The rabbi says, let me tell you, your wife from St. Petersburg is your real soulmate. And I want you to know that she is the soul of our Holy Mother Ruth. Her soul is so precious. It was important enough in heaven that she'd come back, that they let you make all of these awesome mistakes. For 10 years, not even remembering that you're a Jew. For 10 years, not even remembering that there's one God. A year later, his father-in-law looks at the calendar and he says, exactly a year ago, my daughter and the 2 grandchildren left me. I can't stop crying. He rides out to the drunkard. And the drunkard is lying there crying. He says to him, drunkard, why are you crying? Swear to me you'll never tell. I'm a Jew, and today is Yom Kippur. Why are you crying? He says to him, exactly 1 year ago, my daughter left me. I don't know where she is. I can't stop crying. So the holy drunkard says to him, if God sent you to me on Yom Kippur, that means that I am the one to tell you what to do. Would you like to know where your daughter is? Yes. Swear to me that you'll convert. Swear to me that you'll become a true servant of God, and I'll tell you where she is. Father-in-law says, what good is all my money without my only daughter and my 2 grandchildren? I swear. The holy drunkard tells him where they are. And the father-in-law sells everything he owns, including the forest. And the drunkard and the father-in-law are on their way to see the daughter. The Baal Shem Tov continued. Here in the middle of the field, the holy drunkard died. This is his grave. Doesn't he deserve that we should come here and say l'chaim to the holy drunkard who fixed so many people's lives? So my sweetest friends, we all need the holy drunkard somewhere. Some of us are looking for big rabbis, for big tzaddikim, for fathers, mothers, teachers. No. I'm looking for the holy drunkard. And I bless you and me. I bless our children wherever they are. Go out into the forest and be consoled. And find the holy drunkard who will tell you